Hi all, I just got this sign painted on the truck. I thought it would be a good time to do a before and after to compare a painted sign with the magnetic signs. I've known the painter for years. He did a sign on my store when I had a small music store back in the 90s. And I just happened to bump into him at the library, and he didn't know it was my truck when he saw the magnetic signs. When I talked to him outside the library, he goes, "Yeah, I pulled in, I saw the magnetic signs, but I couldn't read it." I told him, yeah, I planned on giving him a call. I just hadn't gotten around to it. So that's when we started the process of getting it painted right on the truck. So what happened was, he told me, he told me he gave me a date about when he wanted to do it. It's like 2 months down the road. And he had said something about the snow on the top of the lettering, that he had done one back in the 80s that was something similar. And about a month later or so, he came up with 4 designs that I could choose from. They were all somewhat similar to this one. A couple of them had like designs of a pickup truck and a snow plow, like small pictures off to the side here instead of my name. One had like a truck up in here, just like the front end of a truck, and different types of lettering. And from the 4 examples, I was able to pick and choose. Let's see, I think I might have those here. I just picked it up yesterday. The stuff's still in the truck. Yeah, okay. So here's the 4 designs. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, he told me to talk to a few people and see what they thought, but I don't know anything about art. The people I talked to really didn't either. But here my music store used to be JAV, J-A-V. That's my initials. But no one really understood it. I even had one fella take lessons for years. And one time he walked out the store, he started laughing. He said, "I always thought that was jazz, J-A-Z-Z. So, and he walked in the store 1,000 times. So I ended up changing that to just Jim. When I first bought the truck last year, I threw something up on Facebook. I didn't know what to call it. I just randomly picked Jimmy the Snowplow Guy, without much thought. So change that to Jim. Use that design for the plowing text. Use that design for the snowplow, for the snow text. That design for the phone, and I told him to make it big so people can read it. I saw a lawn care guy going down the road just a couple weeks ago. And he had he was pulling like a probably 20-foot flatbed for his lawnmowers and stuff. And he had a nice design on the side. but I didn't catch it. He went by so fast. So I was right behind him for like 5 minutes or more going down the road heading toward Walmart. And if he would have had something on the back, then I would have been able to get his phone number. So that's when I said, make the phone number big. And his original thought was he was only going to do something like half this size. But after I followed that trailer, I told him, use the whole tailgate. Plus, I saw a few examples on the web where they really do some nice designs on the back of the tailgates. So he had said something when I dropped it off. When I told him to use the whole tailgate, he said it's got to pass the 20-foot test. Can you read it from 20 feet away? And then he said, does it pass the 50-foot test? So I don't know how far back I am here. I'd say that's probably 50 foot. I can read it here. I don't know if you can see it from the camera. I'm sure that's 50 foot there. I'm thinking my 25-foot ruler. The gym, I don't know, that's kind of hard to make that out as a J, but that's the design he used. So he's the artist. I don't know anything about that stuff. So it was $300. And he said most people would charge $350, $400. But he had done my store, and I know him well, so he'd give me a deal. Plus, I told him keep it as simple as possible. Don't worry about small mistakes. It's a work truck, you know. We're not doing a show car. I told him just slop it on there. I asked him if I have a good year, what could we do next? And he said pinstriping. You know, he put a pinstripe down here, and then he drew some type of fancy design here. He said they normally do something up on the hood, and he said he could fix that too with the paint. So that's one less thing I have to worry about. See, I plan on painting that bottom before it snows. But he said doing something on the hood. I don't know if I want to bother with that. The pinstriping sounds like a good idea, but you know what I was thinking was, what more could we do to advertise? Because I want advertising. When I had the store, I had a big glass window in the front. It was like 30 foot long, and I talked to a few guys about what to do with the sign. You know, when you have a store, you have to get a sign permit from the city, and they only allow you certain sizes, you know, a certain amount of inches or feet, depending on the size of your store for the permit. And one guy said, hell, you got a 30-foot billboard here on the front of your store, use it, you know, make the whole thing a sign. Well, he had painted a sign. It was pretty big, and the city didn't want to approve it, but what I did was I added up all the actual inches, You know, they were looking at it as a 30-foot sign. You know, but when I added up all the inches, it was still within the allowed size. So I know the paint store across the street, the guy sold paint to paint houses and stuff like that. He put an awning on the front of his store, just like a big cloth awning, and he fought with the city trying to get a permit for it. I don't see what would be wrong with just an awning. So, as far as I know, I don't need a permit for the sign on the truck, but I'm going to give him a call this afternoon just to make sure. So, I think I talked to him about it back during the summer, and they said I didn't need a permit, but I don't remember for sure, so I'll call him again just to double check. I'll scan these in so you got something better to check out, and you know the process. That's southern shore of Lake Erie, about 50 miles east of Cleveland. That way, about 2 hours is Buffalo. That's where you hear about all the snow. They really get pounded there. They just got like 2-3 feet a few days ago, and we didn't get any. But when the lake snow comes in here, see, the water stays warm. The water stays warm and the storms come across the lake, and we get lake snow. It's a real puffy light snow. It's almost like a powder sometimes, and you could practically blow it off your sidewalk with a leaf blower. It's so light. But we get pounded with that, you know. Like the average storm will drop 2-3 inches, and then the lake snow kicks in afterwards and we get another foot or two. So, you know, half a foot is normal, you know, foot or two is rare. Buffalo, though, they really get pounded up there. So they're right on the corner of the lake, you know, where we're kind of on the bottom. So I think it has something to do with the shape of the coastline too. You know, up toward Cleveland and then down through here, it seems like the storms fall apart as soon as they hit the Cleveland area. It must have something to do with the shape of the coastline and the way the winds act. But we still have a few rough days. There's only 4 spots in the world that get lake snow. You know, there's 3 here on the Great Lakes and 1 in Europe. We actually get lake snow from like way up north from the other lakes, Superior and Huron. It actually comes down from way up there. So I'm not a weather guy, but that's what I've heard. So, and the lake snow, you know, it's normally right here along the coast, but it can go far in. I think it can even travel all the way down in West Virginia, but usually it's only like 10 miles in, like, you know, 10, 15, 20 miles in. I think I've seen news weather reports where they said lake snow down into West Virginia. You know, it just happens to be traveling. So don't hold me to that one though. So okay, so I just thought I'd do another video on this thing here. So I think it turned out good. It took him about a week to paint it. When I first dropped, well, first time I talked to him, he said a day or maybe 2. And then when I dropped it off, I told him use the full tailgate. and that's when the price went up and the time went up. So he said, I told him, I said, keep it for as long as you need it. There's no hurry. And you know, it was a day or two, and then I had told him, hey, even if you needed a week or so is fine. You know, there's no hurry. And he said, well, it might be that. So I think I dropped it off on a Wednesday and picked it up on Tuesday. But he had other jobs going there, so I don't think he spent the full week on it. He had a couple other signs in the shop that he was working on. So his original thought was to do the two doors the same and then do something different on the back. And I had told him, I said, keep it all the same. Do the same thing on all three sides. You know, I thought it would be better to keep it consistent, you know, to catch people's eye. Usually with marketing stuff, you know, they stick some subliminal stuff in there. You know, like some pictures of some female parts, you know. And if I would have thought of that before, I would have mentioned it to him. But I don't see nothing now that could be considered female anatomy or sex orientated. So, well, I guess the snow could be, right? Okay, got it there. I think that's a barge, a dredge. They go down there and they dredge the bottom of the lake just to get out the gunk. They don't seem to be moving. It doesn't seem to be working. It's kind of cold now, just like 30 degrees. You don't normally see them out there. They're right behind the power plant. They're right behind the power plant. There's a power plant here that the government shut down because the dirty coal. So maybe they're getting it ready to fire it back up. I heard the government told them to install coal filters, and the company refused, so they shut it down. So they're probably dredging the lake to get it ready to fire it back up. Okay, see ya. Bye.